Bengal Subah. The Bengal Subah Bengali, Subah in law, Persian Swbh, also referred to as Mughal Bengal Bengali, Mughal in law, was the largest subdivision of the Mughal Empire and later an independent state under the Nawab of Bengal encompassing much of the Bengal region. The state was established following the dissolution of the Bengal Sultanate, a major trading nation in the world when the region was absorbed into one of the gunpowder empires. Bengal was the wealthiest region in the Indian subcontinent, and its proto-industrial economy showed signs of driving an industrial revolution. Bengal Subah has been variously described the paradise of nations and the golden age of Bengal, due to its inhabitants' living standards and real wages, which were among the highest in the world. It alone accounted for 40% of Dutch imports from Asia. The eastern part of Bengal was globally prominent in industries such as textile manufacturing and shipbuilding, and it was a major exporter of silk and cotton textiles, steel, saltpeter, and agricultural and industrial produce in the world. The region was also the basis of the Anglo-Mughal War. By the 18th century, Mughal Bengal emerged as an independent state under the Nawabs of Bengal, and already observing the proto-industrialization, it made direct significant contribution to the first industrial revolution, substantially textile manufacture during the Industrial Revolution, but led to its deindustrialization after being conquered by the British East India. The Subah was later established as the Bengal Presidency. History. Mughal Empire. The Mughal absorption of Bengal began during the reign of the first Mughal Emperor Babur. In 1529, Babur defeated Sultan Nasrat Shah of the Bengal Sultanate during the Battle of Gagra. Babur later annexed parts of Bengal. His son and successor Humayun occupied the Bengali capital Gaur, where he stayed for 6 months. Humayun was later forced to seek refuge in Persia because of Sher Shah Suri's conquests. Sher Shah Suri briefly interrupted the reigns of both the Mughals and the Bengal sultans. After the defeat of expansionist Bengal Sultan Daud Khan Karani at the Battle of Rajmahal in 1576, Mughal Emperor Akbar announced the creation of Bengal as one of the original 12 subahs top-level provinces, bordering Bihar and Orissa subahs, as well as Burma. Bengal's physical features gave it such a fertile soil and a favorable climate that it became a terminus of a continent-wide process of Turco-Mongol conquest and migration, informs Prof. Richard Eaton. The Mughal conquest of Bengal began with the decisive victory of Akbar's army over the independent Afghan ruler of the province Daud Karani at Tuggeroin near Danton, Midnapore district on 3 March 1575. It took many years to overcome the resistance of ambitious and local chiefs. By a royal decree of 24 November 1586, Akbar introduced uniform Subah administration throughout the empire. However, in Tapan Rachituri's view, the consolidation of Mughal power in Bengal and the pacification of the province really began in 1594. Most prominent local chiefs or landlords being the Barabuyas or Barobayans, 12 Buyas. Many of the chiefs subjugated by the Mughals, some of the Barabuyas in particular, were Hindu or Pathan upstarts who grabbed territories during the transition from Afghan to Mughal rule, but a few such as the Rajas of Bishnupur, Suzang and Chandradwip were older Hindu princes who had ruled independently from time immemorial. By the 17th century, the Mughals subdued opposition from the Barobayans landlords, notably Isa Khan. Bengal was integrated into a powerful and prosperous empire and shaped by imperial policies of pluralistic government. The Mughals built a new imperial metropolis in Dhaka from 1610, with well-developed fortifications, gardens, tombs, palaces, and mosques. It served as the Mughal capital of Bengal for 75 years. The city was renamed in honor of Emperor Jahangir. Dhaka emerged as the commercial capital of the Mughal Empire, given that it was the center for the empire's largest exports, cotton muslin textiles. The Mughal conquest of Chittagong in 1666 defeated the Burmese kingdom of Arakan and re-established Bengali control of the port city. The Chittagong Hill Tracts frontier region was made a tributary state of Mughal Bengal, and a treaty was signed with the Chakma Circle in 1713. Between 1576 and 1717, Bengal was ruled by a Mughal subedar imperial governor. Members of the imperial family were often appointed to the position. Viceroy Prince Shah Shuja was the son of Emperor Shah Jahan. During the struggle for succession with his brothers Prince Aurangzeb, Prince Dara Shikoh, and Prince Murad Baksh, Prince Shuja proclaimed himself as the Mughal emperor in Bengal. He was eventually defeated by the armies of Aurangzeb. Shuja fled to the kingdom of Arakan, where he and his family were killed on the orders of the king at Imrokhu. Shasta Khan was an influential viceroy during the reign of Aurangzeb. He consolidated Mughal control of eastern Bengal. Prince Mohammad Azam Shah, who served as one of Bengal's viceroys, was installed on the Mughal throne for 4 months in 1707. Viceroy Ibrahim Khan Roman II gave permits to English and French traders for commercial activities in Bengal. The last viceroy, Prince Azamutshan, gave permits for the establishment of the British East India Company's Fort William in Calcutta, the French East India Company's Fort Orleans in Chandernagore, and the Dutch East India Company's fort in Chinchora. During Azamutshan's tenure, his prime minister Murshid Quli Khan emerged as a powerful figure in Bengal. Khan gained control of imperial finances. Azamutshan was transferred to Bihar. In 1717, the Mughal court upgraded the prime minister's position to the hereditary Nawab of Bengal. Khan founded a new capital in Murshidabad. His descendants formed the Nasiri dynasty. Alavardi Khan founded a new dynasty in 1740. The Nawabs ruled over a territory which included Bengal proper, Bihar, and Orissa. Independent Nawabs of Bengal. The Nawab of Bengal, Bengali, Ba-in-Lar-in-Bab, was the hereditary ruler of Bengal Subah in Mughal India. The Nawab of a princely state or autonomous province is comparable to the European title of Grand Duke. In the early 18th century, the Nawab of Bengal was the de facto independent ruler of the 3 regions of Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa, which constitute the modern-day sovereign country of Bangladesh and the Indian states of West Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. They are often referred to as the Nawab of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa Bengali, Ba and La, Bihar o Adishar and Bab. The Nawabs were based in Murshidabad, which was centrally located within Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. Their chief, a former prime minister, became the first Nawab. The Nawabs continued to issue coins in the name of the Mughal emperor. But for all practical purposes, the Nawabs governed as independent monarchs. Bengal continued to contribute the largest share of funds to the imperial treasury in Delhi. The Nawabs, backed by bankers such as the Jagat Seth, became the financial backbone of the Mughal court. During the 18th century, the Nawabs of Bengal were among the wealthiest rulers in the world. The Nawabs of Bengal oversaw a period of proto-industrialization. The Bengal-Bihar-Orissa triangle was a major production center for cotton, muslin cloth, silk cloth, shipbuilding, gunpowder, saltpeter, and metalworks. Factories were set up in Murshidabad, Dhaka, Patna, Sonargaon, Chittagong, Rajshahi, Qasimbazar, Balasore, Pipli, and Hooghly, among other cities, towns, and ports. The region became a base for the British East India Company, the French East India Company, the Danish East India Company, the Austrian East India Company, the Ostend Company, and the Dutch East India Company. The British Company eventually rivaled the authority of the Nawabs. In the aftermath of the siege of Calcutta in 1756, in which the Nawab's forces overran the main British base, the East India Company dispatched a fleet led by Robert Clive, who defeated the last independent Nawab Siraj ad-Dawla at the Battle of Plassey in 1757. Mir Jafar was installed as the puppet Nawab. His successor Mir Qasim attempted in vain to dislodge the British. The defeat of Nawab Mir Qasim of Bengal Nawab Shuja-ud-Dawla of Oudh, and Mughal Emperor Shah Alam Roman II at the Battle of Buxar in 1764 paved the way for British expansion across India. The South Indian kingdom of Mysore, led by Tipu Sultan, overtook the Nawab of Bengal as the subcontinent's wealthiest monarchy, but this was short-lived and ended with the Anglo-Mysore War. The British then turned their sights on defeating the Marathas and Sikhs. The Nawabs of Bengal entered into treaties with numerous European colonial powers, including joint stock companies representing Britain, Austria, Denmark, France, and the Netherlands. Maratha invasions. The resurgent Hindu Maratha Empire launched brutal raids against the prosperous Bengali state in the 18th century, which further added to the decline of the Nawabs of Bengal. A decade of ruthless Maratha invasions of Bengal from the 1740s to early 1750s forced the Nawab of Bengal to pay Rs. 1.2 million of tribute annually as the Chauth of Bengal and Bihar to the Marathas, and the Marathas agreed not to invade Bengal again. The expeditions led by Raghuji Bansal of Nagpur also established the de facto Maratha control over Orissa, which was formally incorporated in the Maratha Dominion in 1752. The Nawab of Bengal also paid Rs. 3.2 million to the Marathas towards the arrears of Chauth for the preceding years. The Chauth was paid annually by the Nawab of Bengal to the Marathas up to 1758, until the British occupation of Bengal. During their occupation of Bihar and western Bengal up to the Hooghly River, the Maratha invaders, called Bargi in Bengali, perpetrated atrocities against the local population. The Marathas are estimated to have killed about 400,000 people. This devastated Bengal's economy, as many of the people killed in the Maratha raids included merchants, textile weavers, silk winders, and mulberry cultivators. The Qasim Bazar factory reported in 1742, for example, that the Marathas burnt down many of the houses where silk piece goods were made, along with weavers' looms. British colonization. By the late 18th century, the British East India Company emerged as the foremost military power in the region, defeating the French allied Siraj-ud-Dawla at the Battle of Plassey in 1757, that was largely brought about by the betrayal of the Nawab's once trusted general Mir Jafar. The company gained administrative control over the Nawab's dominions, including Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. It gained the right to collect taxes on behalf of the Mughal court after the Battle of Buxar in 1765. Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa were made part of the Bengal Presidency and annexed into the British colonial empire in 1793. The Indian Mutiny of 1857 formally ended the authority of the Mughal court when the British Raj replaced company rule in India. Other European powers also carved out small colonies on the territory of Mughal Bengal, including the Dutch East India Company's Dutch Bengal settlements, the French colonial settlement in Chandernagore, the Danish colonial settlement in Serampore, and the Habsburg Monarchy Ostend Company settlement in Bankipur. Military campaigns. According to Joe de Barros, Bengal enjoyed military supremacy over Arakan and Tripura due to good artillery. Its forces possessed notable large cannons. It was also a major exporter of gunpowder and saltpeter to Europe. The Mughal army built fortifications across the region, including Idrapur Fort, Sonakenda Fort, Hajiganj Fort, Lalbog Fort, and Jangalbari Fort. The Mughals expelled Arakanese and Portuguese pirates from the northeastern coastline of the Bay of Bengal. Throughout the late medieval and early modern periods, Bengal was notable for its navy and shipbuilding. The following table covers a list of notable military engagements by Mughal Bengal. Architecture. Mughal architecture proliferated Bengal in the 16th, 17th, and 18th centuries, with the earliest example being the Kayul Mosque in Bagra 1582. They replaced the earlier Sultanate style of architecture. It was in Dhaka that the imperial style was most lavishly indulged in. Located on the banks of the Baraganga River, the old Mughal city was described as the Venice of the East. Its Lalbagh fort was an elaborately designed complex of gardens, fountains, a mosque, a tomb, an audience hall, duenas, and a walled enclosure with gates. The great caravanserai and Shaista Khan caravanserai in Dhaka were centers of commercial activities. Other monuments in the city include the Danmandi Shah Agha 1640, the Sat Gambuj Mosque c. 1664-76, the Shahbaz Khan Mosque 1679, and the Khan Mohammed Emretha Mosque 1704. The city of Murshidabad also became a haven of Mughal architecture under the Nawabs of Bengal, with the Caravanserai Mosque 1723 being its most prominent monument. In rural hinterlands, the indigenous Bengali Islamic style continued to flourish, blended with Mughal elements. One of the finest examples of this style is the Atiya Mosque in Tangail 1609. Several masterpieces of terracotta Hindu temple architecture were also created during this period. Notable examples include the Kantaju Temple 1704 and the temples of Bishnupur 1600-1729. Art. An authentic Bengali Mughal art was reflected in the muslin fabric of Jamdani, meaning flower in Persian. The making of Jamdani was pioneered by Persian weavers. The art passed to the hands of Bengali Muslim weavers known as Juhilas. The artisan industry was historically based around the city of Dhaka. The city had over 80,000 weavers. Jamdanis traditionally employ geometric designs in floral shapes. Its motifs are often similar to those in Iranian textile art Bhutta motif and Western textile art Paisley. Dhaka's Jamdanis enjoyed a loyal following and received imperial patronage from the Mughal court in Delhi and the Nawabs of Bengal. A provincial Bengali style of Mughal painting flourished in Murshidabad during the 18th century. Scroll painting and ivory sculptures were also prevalent. Demographics. Population. Bengal's population is estimated to be 30 million in 1769, after the British East India Company's conquest of Bengal at the Battle of Plassey in 1757, and prior to the resulting Great Bengal Famine of 1770. In comparison, the entire Indian population is estimated to be 190 million in 1750, with Bengal accounting for 16% of its population. The Asian population is estimated at 502 million in 1750, with Bengal accounting for 6% of its population. And the world population is estimated. Religion. Bengal was an affluent province with a Bengali Muslim majority, along with a large Bengali Hindu minority. Immigration. There was a significant influx of migrants from the Safavid Empire into Bengal during the Mughal period. Persian administrators and military commanders were enlisted by the Mughal government in Bengal. An Armenian community settled in Dhaka and was involved in the city's textile trade, paying a 3.5% tax. Economy and trade. The Bengal Subah had the largest regional economy in the Mughal Empire. It was described as the paradise of nations. The region exported grains, fine cotton, muslin and silk, liquors and wines, salt, ornaments, fruits, and metals. European companies set up numerous trading posts in Mughal Bengal during the 17th and 18th centuries. Dhaka was the largest city in Mughal Bengal and the commercial capital of the empire. Chittagong was the largest seaport, with maritime trade routes connecting it to Arakan, Ayutthaya, Asay, Malacca, Johor, Bantam, Makassar, Ceylon, Bandar Abbas, Mocha, and the Maldives. Parthasarathi cites his estimates that grain wages for weaving and spinning in mid-18th century Bengal and South India is comparable to Britain. However, due to the scarcity of data, more research is needed before drawing any conclusion. Local Sufi leaders combined Islamic and Bengali cultural practices which developed Bengali Muslim society. Agrarian reform. The Mughals launched a vast economic development project in the Bengal Delta which transformed its demographic makeup. The government cleared vast swathes of forest in the fertile Bati region to expand farmland. It encouraged settlers, including farmers and jagirdars, to populate the delta. It assigned Sufis as the chieftains of villages. Emperor Akbar readapted the modern Bengali calendar to improve harvests and tax collection. The region became the largest grain producer in the subcontinent. We find meager accounts of the Bengal revenue administration in Abul Fazl's Ain-i Akbari and some in Mirza Nathan's Baharistan-i Gabai. According to the Ain, the demands of each year are paid by installments in 8 months, they the ryots themselves bringing mohurs and rupees to the appointed place for the receipt of revenue, as the division of grain between the government and the husbandmen is not here customary. The harvests are always abundant, measurement is not insisted upon, and the revenue demands are determined. From the above extract we learn that the payment of the annual revenue demand was carried out in 8 monthly installments. However, Rachid-Huri points out that according to the Baharistan, there were 2 collections a year following the 2 harvests in autumn and spring. Secondly, it tells us that the payments were made in cash and directly to the government. The last fact obviously refers to only Khalasa lands. Finally, the most important fact that we come across is that the method of crop estimation and not land measurement was current in Bengal. Bengali peasants were quick to adapt to profitable new crops between 1600 and 1650. Bengali peasants rapidly learned techniques of mulberry cultivation and sericulture, establishing Bengal Subah as a major silk-producing region of the world. The increased agricultural productivity led to lower food prices. In turn, this benefited the Indian textile industry. Compared to Britain, the price of grain was about 1/2 in South India and 1/3 in Bengal in terms of silver coinage. This resulted in lower silver coin prices for Indian textiles, giving them a price advantage in global market. Industrial economy. The Mughal Empire had 25% of the world's GDP. Bengal was an affluent province that was, according to economic historian Indrajit Ray, globally prominent in industries such as textile manufacturing and shipbuilding. Bengal's capital city of Dhaka was the empire's financial capital, with a population exceeding 1 million people, and with an estimated 80,000 skilled textile weavers. It was an exporter of silk and cotton textiles, steel, saltpeter, and agricultural and industrial produce. Bengal's industrial economy in the Mughal era has been described as a form of proto-industrialization. Many historians have built on the perspective of R.C. Dutt, who wrote, "The plunder of Bengal directly contributed to the Industrial Revolution in Britain." This analysis states that the capital amassed from Bengal was used to invest in British industries such as textile manufacture during the Industrial Revolution and greatly increase British wealth, while at the same time leading to deindustrialization in Bengal. According to Indrajit Ray, domestic industries expanded for decades, even after Plassey. Although colonial-based price manipulation and state discrimination initiated from the 1790s, Bengal's industries retained some comparative advantages. Ray states that Bengali entrepreneurs continued in industries such as cotton and silk textiles where there were domestic market supports, and major deindustrialization occurred as late as the 1830s to 1850s. Textile industry. Under Mughal rule, Bengal was a center of the worldwide muslin and silk trades. During the Mughal era, the most important center of cotton production was Bengal, particularly around its capital city of Dhaka, leading to muslin being called Dhaka in distant markets such as Central Asia. Domestically, much of India depended on Bengali products such as rice, silks, and cotton textiles. Overseas, Europeans depended on Bengali products such as cotton textiles, silks, and opium. Bengal accounted for 40% of Dutch imports from Asia, for example, including more than 50% of textiles and around 80% of silks. From Bengal, saltpeter was also shipped to Europe. Opium was sold in Indonesia. Raw silk was exported to Japan and the Netherlands, and cotton and silk textiles were exported to Europe, Indonesia, and Japan. The jute trade was also a significant factor. Shipbuilding industry. Bengal had a large shipbuilding industry. Indrajit Ray estimates shipbuilding output of Bengal during the 16th and 17th centuries at 223,250 tons annually, compared with 23,061 tons produced in 19 colonies in North America from 1769 to 1771. He also assesses ship repairing as very advanced in Bengal. An important innovation in shipbuilding was the introduction of a flush deck design in Bengal rice ships, resulting in hulls that were stronger and less prone to leak than the structurally weak hulls of traditional European ships built with a stepped deck design. The British East India Company later duplicated the flush deck and hull designs of Bengal rice ships in the 1760s, leading to significant improvements in seaworthiness and navigation for European ships during the Industrial Revolution. Administrative divisions. In the revenue settlement by Todar Mal in 1582, Bengal Subah was divided into 24 Sarkars districts, which included 19 Sarkars of Bengal proper and 5 Sarkars of Orissa. In 1607, during the reign of Jahangir, Orissa became a separate Subah. These 19 Sarkars were further divided into 682 Parganas. In 1658, subsequent to the revenue settlement by Shah Shuja, 15 new Sarkars and 361 new Parganas were added. In 1722, Murshid Quli Khan divided the whole Subah into 13 Chakalas, which were further divided into 1660 Parganas. Initially, the capital of the Subah was Tanda. On 9 November 1595, in 1610 the capital was shifted from Rajmahal to Dhaka, and it was renamed Jahangir. In 1639, Shah Shuja again shifted the capital to Rajmahal. In 1660, Muazzam Khan Mir Jumla again shifted the capital to Dhaka. In 1703, Murshid Quli Khan, then Diwan Prime Minister in charge of finance of Bengal, shifted his office from Dhaka to Maqsoodabad and later renamed it Murshidabad. In 1656, Sabadar Shah Shuja reorganized the Sarkars and added Orissa to the Bengal Subah. The Sarkars districts and the Parganas/Mahalis Tehsils of Bengal Subah were Sarkars of Orissa. Government. The state government was headed by a Viceroy Subedar Nizam appointed by the Mughal Emperor between 1576 and 1717. The Viceroy exercised tremendous authority, with his own cabinet and 4 prime ministers Diwan. The 3 deputy viceroys for Bengal proper, Bihar and Orissa were known as the Naib Nazams. An extensive landed aristocracy was established by the Mughals in Bengal. The aristocracy was responsible for taxation and revenue collection. Landholders were bestowed with the title of Jagirdar. The Qadi title was reserved for the chief judge. Mansabdars were leaders of the Mughal army, while Faujas were generals. The Mughals were credited for secular pluralism during the reign of Akbar, who promoted the religious doctrine of Din-i-Ilahi. Later rulers promoted more conservative Islam. In 1717, the Mughal government replaced Viceroy Azamus due to conflicts with his influential deputy viceroy and prime minister Murshid Quli Khan. Growing regional autonomy caused the Mughal court to establish a hereditary principality in Bengal, with Khan being recognized in the official title of Nazam. He founded the Nasiri dynasty. In 1740, following the Battle of Jiria, Alivardi Khan staged a coup and founded the short-lived Afsar dynasty. For all practical purposes, the Nazms acted as independent princes. European colonial powers referred to them as Nawabs or Nawabs. List of viceroys. List of independent Nawab Nazms.